The old pickup truck rumbled down the cracked highway, its fuel gauge needle barely clinging to life. Inside, Ryan gripped the wheel, his knuckles white as he scanned the horizon. Behind him, Olivia sat clutching her shotgun, her expression grim. Marcus and Jake sat in the truck bed, rifles at the ready. There, Olivia pointed ahead. Gas station. Might have fuel. Ryan squinted. The station was small, a lonely outpost in an abandoned stretch of road. The neon sign flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows over the pumps. There were no signs of movement. No moaning, no shuffling, nothing. Ryan pulled up next to a pump and cut the engine. We do this fast. Marcus, siphon the gas. Olivia, cover the door. Jake, check inside for supplies. Jake hopped out, shotgun in hand. If I find snacks, dibs on the good ones. Olivia rolled her eyes. Just don't get yourself killed. As Marcus got to work on the gas, Jake disappeared inside the station. Ryan stood guard near the truck, heart pounding in his chest. The world had turned to hell in a matter of weeks, and they had learned the hard way: quiet was survival. A sharp crunch echoed from inside the station. Then another. Ryan turned to Olivia. Her grip on the shotgun tightened. Jake stumbled out, face pale. Guys, we got a problem. Behind him, a zombie shambled forward, its eyes cloudy and lifeless. Its mouth gaped open, revealing blackened teeth. Ryan sighed. Just one? We can handle. Jake fired. The gunshot shattered the silence. The zombie dropped, but the sound carried. Then, from inside the station, an answering groan rose. Then another. And another. The first one staggered out, then a second, then 5 more. Hands banged against the glass. A door creaked open. Shadows shifted. Damn it, Jake! Olivia hissed. We need to move. Marcus cursed as the sound of shuffling feet echoed from behind them. Ryan turned. More zombies emerged from the surrounding buildings, drawn by the gunshot. Dozens of them. The group was surrounded. Inside. Now! Ryan shouted. They sprinted for the gas station as the undead closed in. Ryan slammed the door behind them and bolted it shut. The station was dark, shelves overturned, the air thick with the stench of rot. You led them right to us, Marcus growled at Jake. Jake threw up his hands. How was I supposed to know? A sound from behind made them all turn. A figure stepped from the shadows, a frail old man, shotgun in hand. His face was lined with exhaustion, his clothes ragged. Congratulations, the old man muttered. You just got yourselves killed. Olivia took a cautious step forward. Who are you? Name's Earl. Been holed up here for days. He glanced at the boarded-up windows. Kept it quiet. Kept it safe. But now? Now they know we're here. Ryan checked his rifle. The moaning outside grew louder. Hands pounded against the walls. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. We can't stay here. Earl sighed. No, son. You can't. A loud bang shook the door. The undead were coming. And they were running out of time. The wooden door shuddered under the relentless pounding of undead fists. Each impact rattled the gas station's walls, sending dust cascading from the rafters. The survivors had minutes, maybe seconds, before the barricade gave way. Earl's voice cut through the tension. We need to reinforce that door. Now. Ryan was already moving, dragging a shelf full of expired snacks toward the entrance. Help me. Marcus hesitated for a split second, then grabbed the other end. Together, they heaved it against the door, the sound of shifting metal and plastic swallowed by the ever-growing moans outside. Olivia kicked over another shelf, sending cans of soup clattering to the ground, then used it to block the side window. Jake, breathing hard, checked his shotgun. We're stuck in here. This is a death trap. Earl snorted. Better than being out there, kid. He gestured toward the back of the station. There's a storage room. More supplies, another door, but it's locked tight. Might be an exit. Ryan wiped sweat from his forehead. You got a key? Earl sighed. No. Owner had it. Didn't make it. He nodded toward the parking lot, where a half-eaten corpse lay sprawled near the gas pumps. Marcus groaned. You mean to tell me the key to our survival is outside? A deafening crack filled the air. The wooden planks on the door splintered. A gnarled hand punched through, fingers twitching wildly. Jake jumped back. We're out of time. Ryan raised his rifle. We need a plan, fast. Earl cocked his shotgun. We buy time, clear a path, and one of us gets that damn key. Marcus scoffed. And gets eaten in the process? Olivia grabbed his arm. We don't have a choice. The barricade groaned as another zombie slammed against it. Ryan made the decision. We split up. Olivia, Marcus, and I hold them off here. Jake, you and Earl get to the back room. See if there's another way out. Earl nodded. Got it. Jake hesitated but followed Earl toward the dimly lit hallway. As they disappeared into the shadows, another bang echoed through the station. The front door was barely holding. Marcus gritted his teeth. We're screwed. Ryan ignored him. He grabbed an old mop, broke it in half, and shoved one end into a crack in the door, wedging it tighter. The undead outside were pressing harder, their grotesque faces visible through the broken slats. One zombie, its face half missing, managed to push its arm through. Its fingers clawed the air, reaching. Olivia took a deep breath, leveled her shotgun, and blam. The creature's hand exploded into pulp. Marcus flinched. Jesus, Olivia. Stay focused, she snapped. Ryan fired through a gap, his bullet tearing through a skull. Another thud followed as the body collapsed outside. But for every one they dropped, more pressed forward. The moans rose into a deafening chorus of hunger. A sudden crash from the back made them all spin. Jake's voice rang out. We've got a problem. Ryan cursed. Now what? He sprinted toward the back, Olivia and Marcus on his heels. In the dim glow of a flickering light, Earl and Jake stood before a heavy metal door, half open. The problem? A zombie was wedged between the frame, snapping its bloody teeth at them. Earl had his shotgun raised, but the angle was bad. Jake swung his crowbar, cracking the zombie's skull. It twitched but kept gnashing its teeth. Move! Ryan shoved past him and drove his knife deep into the creature's eye socket. A sickening squelch followed as the zombie finally went limp. Earl yanked the corpse free and shoved the door open. The room inside was cramped and filled with shelves, but at the far end, an emergency exit. Olivia let out a breath. We have a way out. Then Earl stepped forward and muttered, not so fast. The emergency exit had chains wrapped around it, secured by a heavy padlock. Jake's face went pale. You gotta be kidding me. Marcus groaned. We're trapped. Ryan's mind raced. The horde outside was getting louder, the barricade wouldn't last long, and now their only escape was locked tight. Earl rubbed his jaw. That owner had 2 keys. One for the storage room, one for this door. Which means... Ryan finished his thought. It's outside. With his body. A chilling silence filled the room. Olivia exhaled sharply. So someone has to go out there. Another crack from the front of the gas station sent dread twisting in Ryan's stomach. They had no time left. Someone had to make a run for that key. Or they were all dead. The gas station trembled under the weight of the undead outside. The barricade was failing. Time was slipping away. Ryan turned to the group, his voice tight. We need that key. Someone has to go out there. Marcus scoffed, shaking his head. Yeah? And get ripped apart? Not happening. Earl sighed, gripping his shotgun. We don't all need to go. Just one person, quick and quiet. Jake swore under his breath. Damn it, why is it always the worst option? Another crack from the front door sent a fresh wave of urgency through them. Olivia reloaded her shotgun and met Ryan's gaze. I'll do it. Ryan tensed. No. Too risky. She frowned. We don't have a choice. Earl grunted. She's right. We either sit here and die, or we make a move. He nodded at Ryan. You're the fastest. You go. Olivia and I will cover you from inside. Ryan took a deep breath, his heart pounding like a war drum. He wasn't afraid of zombies, he was afraid of failing. If he went out there and didn't come back, what would happen to Olivia? To the others? But they were out of time. Ryan checked his rifle. Fine. I go. But you better have my back. Earl smirked. I got plenty of shells left. Marcus, arms crossed, muttered, this is suicide. Ryan ignored him. He moved toward the shattered front window, peering outside. The corpse of the gas station owner lay near the pumps, its body half-eaten, one skeletal hand still clutching the ring of keys. Between him and the corpse? At least 20 zombies. Ryan exhaled sharply. I need a distraction. Olivia nodded. We make some noise on the other side, draw them away. Earl gestured toward a metal shelf filled with old snack bags. Push that over. Make it loud. Ryan gave a quick nod. On my signal. He took his position near the door, gripping his rifle tight. The stench of death seeped through the cracks. Olivia counted down. 3, 2, 1. Now. She and Earl shoved the metal shelf over. It crashed against the floor, knocking over cans and bottles. The noise echoed through the gas station like a bomb. The reaction was instant. The zombies outside turned toward the sound, groaning hungrily as they shuffled toward the side of the building. Ryan didn't wait. He bolted through the door, sprinting across the pavement. The world blurred around him, every breath, every heartbeat was a countdown to disaster. He slid to his knees next to the corpse, gagging at the rotting smell. The owner's hand was clenched around the keys, fingers stiff. Ryan pried them open, yanking the keys free. A moan from behind made his blood turn ice cold. One of the zombies had turned back. Then another. Ryan's presence had not gone unnoticed. Damn it, he muttered, grabbing the keys and scrambling to his feet. From inside, Olivia's voice rang out. Ryan! Move! A gunshot exploded behind him. Earl had fired, hitting one of the closest zombies in the chest. The others turned, now fully aware of Ryan's presence. He ran. Feet pounding against the pavement, lungs burning, he pushed himself harder than he ever had before. The gas station loomed closer, but so did the undead. A decayed hand reached for him, he ducked, narrowly avoiding its grasp. Another zombie lunged, jaws snapping. Ryan pivoted mid-stride, shoving it aside. Just a few more steps. Bang! Olivia's shotgun fired. A zombie's head burst like a rotten melon, clearing the path. Ryan leaped through the broken window, hitting the ground hard. The zombies outside howled in frustration, pressing against the walls. Ryan panted, holding up the keys. Got him. Earl clapped him on the back. Not bad, kid. Marcus looked stunned. You actually made it. Ryan ignored him, pushing himself to his feet. He tossed the keys to Olivia. Let's move. They rushed to the back room, where the chained emergency exit awaited. Olivia fumbled through the keys, hands shaking. Come on, come on. A sickening crack came from the front of the station. The barricade was breaking. Earl gritted his teeth. Hurry up, girl. Olivia found the right key, jammed it into the padlock, and twisted. Click. The chains fell away. Marcus yanked the door open, revealing the alley behind the station. It was dark, but it was clear. Earl chuckled. Looks like we might live through this after all. Then, a scream. The group spun around just in time to see Marcus being yanked backward. A zombie, having slipped through the barricade, had grabbed him. Its teeth sank into his shoulder. Marcus screamed in agony. "Help me!" Olivia raised her shotgun, but it was too late. More zombies poured in through the shattered front, their rotting eyes locked on the survivors. Ryan grabbed Olivia's arm. "We have to go." Marcus fell to the ground, his cries drowned out by the hungry growls of the undead. Earl slammed the emergency door shut behind them. The gas station had fallen. The horde had won. But the survivors were still breathing. For now. The alley behind the gas station was cold and eerily silent, a stark contrast to the chaos they had just escaped. Olivia's breath came in short gasps, her hands trembling as she gripped the shotgun. Earl pressed his back against the wall, his shotgun raised, scanning both ends of the narrow passage. Ryan wiped the sweat from his forehead, his mind still processing what had just happened. Marcus was gone. One moment he was standing next to them, and the next, he was screaming, being torn apart by the horde. Jake cursed under his breath. "We should have done something." Earl grunted. "And what? Get eaten alongside him?" He glanced at Ryan. "You made the right call, kid." Ryan wasn't sure he believed that. But now wasn't the time for regrets. They had escaped, but they weren't safe yet. The alley stretched ahead, lined with dumpsters and broken-down fences. At the far end, the street opened up to the unknown. More buildings, more abandoned cars. More danger. Olivia swallowed hard. "Where do we go?" Ryan thought for a moment. "We need shelter. Something defensible." Earl nodded. "Town's too infested. We head for the outskirts." Jake wiped dirt from his face. "And how do we get there? We don't have a car. We don't have supplies. And we have no idea what's out there." Ryan turned, scanning the alley for any potential escape routes. The distant sound of groaning reminded them that the gas station wasn't the only place swarming with the undead. Then, movement. At the far end of the alley, a shadow darted behind a dumpster. Ryan's heart skipped a beat. "Did you see that?" Earl nodded, already aiming his shotgun. "Yeah. And it wasn't a zombie." For a moment, there was silence. Then, from the darkness, a voice. "Don't shoot." Ryan hesitated. The voice was hoarse, desperate, but human. A figure stepped out from behind the dumpster, hands raised. A teenage girl. She looked about 16, her clothes tattered and dirty, her face smudged with grime. Her brown eyes were wide with fear. "Please. Don't shoot." Jake narrowed his eyes. "Who the hell are you?" The girl gulped. "Lena." She took a step forward. "I was hiding. I saw what happened back there. I didn't know if you were infected." Olivia lowered her shotgun slightly. "You're alone?" Lena nodded. "My brother and I were in town when everything went to hell. He didn't make it." Her voice cracked, but she quickly composed herself. "I've been hiding ever since." Earl sighed. "Another stray. Just what we need." Ryan ignored him. "Do you know a way out of here?" Lena hesitated. "There's an old diner a few blocks from here. It's boarded up. I was staying there before I ran out of food." Earl glanced at Ryan. "Could work. If it's secure, we hole up for the night. Figure out our next move." Ryan nodded. "All right. Let's move." The group followed Lena as she led them through the alley, sticking to the shadows. Every street they crossed felt like a gamble. The undead lurked in every direction, some shambling aimlessly, others hunched over fresh corpses. The smell of death clung to the air. After 10 tense minutes, they reached the diner. The windows were covered with wooden planks, the door barricaded from the inside. It looked secure. Lena climbed through a broken side window. "Come on, this way." One by one, they followed her inside. The air was stale but safe. The old booths were covered in dust, tables overturned. Someone had once taken refuge here, but they were long gone now. Ryan exhaled in relief. Good job, Lena. She gave a small, tired smile. Yeah. Well, it won't be safe for long. Nothing ever is. Jake slumped into a chair. We need a plan. A real one. Earl grunted. We need rest first. But just as the tension began to ease, something slammed against the boarded-up window. Everyone froze. The moan that followed made Ryan's stomach turn. Olivia whispered, "They followed us." Lena's face paled. No. They were already here. From the hallway leading to the kitchen, another moan sounded. Then another. They weren't alone. Ryan raised his rifle. The others followed suit. The first zombie appeared, its skeletal fingers clawing at the doorway. Then another. And another. The diner wasn't a shelter. It was a trap. And they had walked right into it. The first zombie lurched through the narrow hallway, its bony fingers clawing at the doorframe. Its milky white eyes locked onto them, lips peeling back to reveal rotting teeth. Behind it, more figures shuffled forward, their groans growing louder. Ryan tightened his grip on his rifle. They're inside. Earl cursed under his breath. Damn it. Should have known it wouldn't be this easy. Lena backed up against the counter, her breath shallow. The back door leads to the alley, but it's locked. We need time to get it open. Time was something they didn't have. The first zombie lunged. Bang! Earl's shotgun roared, blasting a hole straight through the walker's chest. It collapsed, twitching, but the others kept coming. Jake grabbed a metal chair, hurling it at the nearest zombie. It crashed into the creature's legs, knocking it down, but two more took its place. We're outnumbered. Olivia shouted, pumping her shotgun. Ryan raised his rifle and fired, hitting one in the head. It dropped instantly, but the hallway was too narrow, the zombies were bottlenecking, forcing them to fight in close quarters. More hands clawed at the boarded-up windows. They weren't just dealing with the ones inside, the noise had drawn the horde outside, too. Olivia turned to Lena. Get that damn door open. Lena scrambled toward the kitchen, disappearing through the swinging doors. Ryan fired again. Click. Out of ammo. Crap, he muttered, slinging his rifle over his shoulder and grabbing a metal pipe from the floor. A zombie lunged at him. He barely had time to react before slamming the pipe into its skull. The force knocked it back, but its fingers still clawed at him, its jaw snapping just inches from his face. Earl stepped in, shoving the barrel of his shotgun under the zombie's chin. Boom. Brain matter splattered the walls. We're not gonna last much longer. Jake shouted, swinging a wooden plank like a baseball bat. More zombies were pouring in, their collective groans drowning out everything else. Then, Lena's voice echoed from the kitchen. It's open. Ryan didn't hesitate. Move. Now. Olivia fired one last shot, then sprinted toward the kitchen. Jake followed, swinging wildly to keep the zombies back. Ryan grabbed Earl's arm. Go! Earl gritted his teeth but nodded, retreating toward the back. The group burst into the kitchen, finding Lena standing by an open metal door leading to the alley. But something was wrong. She wasn't moving. She was staring at something outside. Ryan's stomach twisted. Lena? She slowly turned, her face pale. They're waiting for us. Ryan reached the doorway, and froze. At least a dozen zombies filled the alley. They had no way out. We're trapped, Jake whispered. The groans grew louder, both from the alley and inside the diner. Zombies surged forward, their hands reaching through the doorway, cutting off their escape. Panic set in. Earl cocked his shotgun. We're fighting our way through. Ryan gritted his teeth. No more running. They had to survive. The first zombie in the alley lunged, and Ryan swung his pipe, cracking its skull. Earl fired. Boom. Lena stabbed a zombie in the eye with a kitchen knife, letting out a choked scream as blood sprayed her face. Olivia grabbed a metal frying pan and smashed it into a walker's head. It was chaos. For every zombie they took down, 2 more seemed to appear. Then, Ryan spotted something. A fire escape. A rusted ladder dangled just a few feet out of reach above a dumpster. Ryan shouted over the noise, pointing. "We climb." Lena was closest. She scrambled onto the dumpster, jumping for the ladder. Her fingers barely grazed it. Jake pushed her up. "Grab it." She jumped again, this time, her hands caught the rung. She pulled herself up and started climbing. Olivia went next, using the dumpster to boost herself. Earl fired another shot, covering their escape. Ryan grabbed Jake's arm. "Go!" Jake climbed, pulling himself up after Olivia. Ryan turned to Earl. "Your turn." But Earl wasn't moving. He was reloading. "Go!" Ryan shouted. Earl looked up, eyes dark with determination. "Not yet." Ryan's stomach sank. Earl wasn't coming. The old man pumped a shotgun, backing toward the alley's entrance, placing himself between the zombies and the ladder. "I buy you time," he said, smirking. "You get them out." "Earl, and oh!" Olivia screamed. Too late. Earl turned and charged, firing into the mass of undead. Boom. 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 Ryan had no choice. He grabbed the ladder and climbed. The last thing he saw before reaching the rooftop. Earl, standing his ground, surrounded by the undead. His shotgun clicked empty. Ryan looked away. Then, the screaming started. Ryan pulled himself onto the rooftop, his heart pounding. His hands were slick with sweat, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Earl's screams echoed from below, then stopped, cut off by the sickening sound of tearing flesh. No one spoke. Jake clenched his fists, his face twisted with grief. Olivia stood motionless, staring at the edge of the roof as if expecting Earl to come climbing up after them. But he wouldn't. Lena, breathing heavily, finally broke the silence. "He saved us." Ryan wiped the sweat from his brow, forcing himself to focus. "They couldn't afford to break down, not here, not now. We have to keep moving," he said. His voice sounded hollow even to his own ears. The rooftop stretched ahead, a flat surface littered with debris, rusted air vents, old satellite dishes, and a few toppled chairs. Beyond that, more rooftops connected by narrow gaps, leading deeper into the city. The moans of the undead rose from below, a grim reminder that they were far from safe. Jake kicked a loose brick. "Great. Now what?" Ryan scanned their surroundings. The buildings were packed close together, making the rooftops their best bet. Staying on the ground meant being trapped again, and that wasn't an option. "We use the rooftops," Ryan said. "Stay above them. Stay out of reach." Lena stepped forward hesitantly. "You think we'll find somewhere safe?" Ryan hesitated. The truth was, he didn't know, but giving up wasn't an option. "We have to try," he said. Olivia finally turned away from the edge. Her expression was cold, her grief buried beneath layers of survival instinct. "Then let's go." ####, jumping into the unknown. They moved cautiously, stepping over loose gravel and broken pipes. The first gap between rooftops was small, maybe 3 feet. Easy enough. Jake went first, hopping across without trouble. Olivia followed, landing smoothly. Lena hesitated. "I'm not good at this." Ryan put a hand on her shoulder. "Take it slow. You can do this." She nodded, took a deep breath, then jumped. For a second, Ryan thought she wouldn't make it. Her foot slipped on the landing, but Jake grabbed her arm, pulling her up. Ryan exhaled in relief before making the jump himself. One down. Dozens more to go. Hashtag 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 a city in ruins. As they moved, Ryan took in the devastation below. The streets were a wasteland. Burned-out cars clogged the roads. Storefronts had been looted, their glass shattered. Corpses, some still moving, others truly dead, lay scattered across sidewalks and intersections. Fires burned in the distance, sending dark plumes of smoke into the sky. Ryan had seen the apocalypse unfold with his own eyes, but this was different. The world wasn't dying anymore. It was already dead. "Look at this place," Lena whispered, her voice barely audible. Jake shook his head. "We're just rats on a sinking ship." Olivia shot him a glare. "Then let's find a damn lifeboat." Hashtag 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 a deadly choice. After jumping 3 more rooftops, the path ahead split into 2 options. The first route led to a weaker-looking rooftop, its wooden planks rotted and sagging. It looked like it could collapse at any moment. The second option was a longer jump, almost 10 feet, to a sturdier building. But if they missed, they'd fall straight to the alley below, and into a swarm of zombies. Ryan considered their choices, his gut twisting. Risk the weak roof and hope it holds? Or take the jump and pray they make it, ***. Jake whistled. 10 feet. That's a hell of a leap. Lena shook her head. I can't make that. Ryan glanced at the weak rooftop. Then we go this way. He stepped onto it first, testing the wood. It creaked under his weight, but it held. Slow and steady, he said. The others followed carefully, stepping lightly across the unstable surface. Halfway across, the roof groaned. Then, crack. A section of the roof collapsed, sending debris plunging into the alley below. Lena screamed, stumbling backward. Jake grabbed her before she could fall. Ryan's heart pounded, the structure was failing. "We need to move." They rushed forward, the roof splintering beneath them. Ryan lunged toward the other side, grabbing onto the solid edge just as the rest of the rooftop gave way. Jake and Olivia jumped at the last second, barely making it. Lena was the last. She hesitated, ***, too long, ***. The ground vanished beneath her. Ryan's heart stopped. Lena was falling. But at the last moment, she grabbed onto the ledge, her fingers clinging desperately. "Help," she gasped. Ryan dropped to his knees, grabbing her wrist. Olivia and Jake did the same, pulling her up. With one final effort, they hauled her onto solid ground. She collapsed, shaking. I thought I was dead." Ryan squeezed her shoulder. "Not today." Hashtag the safe house in sight. They sat in silence for a moment, catching their breath. Then Olivia pointed ahead. "There." Ryan followed her gaze. Across 2 more rooftops, a church steeple rose above the ruins. Its stained glass windows were intact, its doors reinforced with wooden barricades. A safe house. Jake exhaled. "Looks promising." Ryan nodded, determination settling in. They had a destination now. A chance at safety. But getting there wouldn't be easy. And something in his gut told him. They weren't alone. The church stood like a lone survivor in the middle of the apocalypse, its stone walls weathered but intact, its stained glass windows miraculously unbroken. The wooden barricades at the doors showed signs of struggle, but they still held. Ryan, Jake, Olivia, and Lena crouched on the rooftop, scanning the area below. "Looks safe," Jake muttered. Ryan wasn't convinced. Nowhere was safe. But it was their best option. "The streets are packed with zombies," Olivia pointed out. "We'll have to find a way down without drawing attention." Lena's voice was shaky. "And if there are people inside? Will they even let us in?" That was another problem. In this world, the living could be just as dangerous as the dead. Ryan exhaled. "We'll find out soon enough." They moved swiftly across the rooftops until they reached the final jump. 6 feet down into the alley behind the church. The walls were lined with vines and pipes, a climbable path. One by one, they lowered themselves down, careful not to make noise. Ryan hit the ground last, crouching behind an old dumpster. Silence. No movement. Jake crept to the church's back door. It was reinforced with steel bars, but the lock looked recently broken. Ryan's gut twisted. Someone had forced their way in. "We're not the first ones here," he whispered. A step into the unknown. With a slow, steady push, Ryan nudged the door open. The inside was dark, the air thick with the scent of dust, old wood, and something else, something rotten. Lena gagged. "What is that smell?" Olivia tightened her grip on her knife. "Death." They moved inside, their footsteps echoing through the vast, empty space. The pews were overturned, shattered glass crunched beneath their boots, and the large wooden cross at the altar hung at an awkward angle, like it had been struck by something powerful. Ryan swept his flashlight across the walls. Blood smeared in handprints. Some words had been scrawled in what looked like dried blood. "They walk among us." A chill ran through him. "What does that mean?" Lena whispered. Jake's face darkened. Maybe survivors turn on each other. Ryan wasn't so sure. Something wasn't right. The survivors of the church. A creak echoed from the balcony above. They all spun toward the sound, weapons raised. Ryan's voice was firm. "Come out, slowly." Silence. Then, a shadow moved. A figure emerged from the darkness. A man, maybe in his 40s, with unkempt hair and wild eyes, stepped into view. He held an old hunting rifle, but it wasn't raised. "You shouldn't be here," the man said, his voice hoarse. Ryan took a cautious step forward. "We're just looking for a safe place. We don't want trouble." The man laughed softly, shaking his head. "Safe? There's no such thing." Lena swallowed hard. "Are you alone?" The man hesitated, glancing toward the shadows behind him. Ryan caught the shift. "Who else is here?" The man's face twitched. "They are." Then, from the darkness, more figures emerged. At least 6 people, their faces gaunt, their eyes sunken with exhaustion and paranoia. Some clutched weapons, others just stared. Ryan's instincts screamed at him, this wasn't right. One of the women stepped forward. Her voice was eerily calm. "If you're looking for salvation, you've come to the wrong place." Jake tensed. "What the hell does that mean?" Olivia's grip tightened on her gun. "Something's off." Ryan took a step back. "We'll just be on our way." The man at the front smiled, a twisted, unsettling grin. "I'm afraid, that's not an option." Then the doors slammed shut. The horrifying truth. Ryan spun, his pulse hammering. Someone had locked them in. A terrible feeling settled in his gut. Lena grabbed his arm, her voice shaking. "Ryan, look at their eyes." Ryan turned back. The people in front of them weren't normal. Their eyes were milky, their veins blackened beneath their skin. They twitched, their bodies jerking unnaturally. Jake took a step back. "What the hell?" The man at the front chuckled, a deep, guttural sound. "You don't understand, do you?" His hands trembled as his body shook violently. "We've been chosen." His skin started to darken, his pupils dilating, his jaw twitching uncontrollably. Then, he lunged. The fight for survival. Ryan barely had time to react before the man rushed him, his movements unnaturally fast. Ryan dodged, slamming the butt of his rifle into the man's face. But he barely stumbled. Olivia fired, bang. The bullet struck the man's chest. He didn't fall. "What the hell is this?" Jake shouted, punching another attacker in the face. But they kept coming. Lena screamed as one of them grabbed her hair, yanking her back. Ryan didn't hesitate. He slashed with his knife, severing the attacker's fingers. The man didn't even scream, he just laughed as blood poured from his hand. They're not normal. Olivia shouted, backing toward the altar. Ryan kicked over a pew, creating a barricade. To the balcony. Move! The group raced up the stairs, the infected survivors right behind them. Lena stumbled, Ryan grabbed her. Olivia reached the top first, spotting a stained glass window. No time for doors, she shouted. With one final swing of her shotgun, she smashed the window open. Below them, a rooftop. A way out. Jake didn't hesitate. He jumped, landing hard. Lena followed, nearly slipping but making it. Ryan turned back, seeing Olivia aiming at the charging infected. No time. Go, he shouted. She hesitated, then jumped. Ryan took one last look at the church. The infected survivors rushed toward him, their faces twisted in an unnatural grin. He jumped. The last thing he heard before hitting the next rooftop. Laughter. And then, the church doors burst open. The real horde was coming. Ryan hit the rooftop hard, rolling to absorb the impact. His breath came in ragged gasps as he scrambled to his feet. The others were already moving, Jake pulling Lena to safety, Olivia loading another shell into her shotgun. Behind them, the church doors exploded open. The horde poured out. Zombies. Hundreds of them. Their snarls and moans echoed through the ruined city, their dead eyes locking onto the 4 survivors. Ryan clenched his jaw. No more running. We make our stand here, he shouted. Jake spun around, gripping his crowbar. We're outnumbered. Olivia cocked her shotgun. Then we even the odds. Fighting on the edge. The rooftop was narrow, a precarious battlefield. One wrong step and they'd fall 3 stories into the alley below. The first wave climbed onto the rooftop, clawing their way up from the fire escape. Boom! Olivia's shotgun blasted the head off the lead zombie, its decayed body tumbling back down. Jake swung his crowbar, shattering a skull. Lena, trembling but determined, jabbed her knife into a zombie's eye, shoving it backward. Ryan fired his rifle. One down. Another. Another. But for every one they killed, more took their place. We can't hold this forever. Lena panted. Ryan scanned their surroundings. They needed an escape plan. The bridge of death. Then he saw it, a construction crane, towering above the ruins. It stretched from one building to another, its metal frame swaying slightly in the wind. Dangerous. Risky. But their only option. Ryan pointed. There. We crossed that crane. Jake turned pale. You want to walk on that thing? Would you rather stay here? Olivia snapped, blasting another zombie. Lena glanced at the crane, then at the approaching horde. I'll take my chances. They ran. Ryan went first, leaping onto the crane's narrow platform. It creaked under his weight, but it held. Lena followed, gripping the metal bars so tightly her knuckles turned white. Jake and Olivia covered the rear, fighting off the undead as long as they could. But the zombies were too many. Boom! Olivia's last shotgun shell. Thunk! Jake's crowbar got stuck in a skull. We're out of time. Olivia shouted. Jake ripped his weapon free and sprinted for the crane. He grabbed Olivia's arm and pulled her with him. The zombies rushed forward, climbing the edge of the rooftop, reaching for them. Crash! The weakened rooftop gave way under the weight of the horde. Dozens of zombies plummeted into the alley below, their screams vanishing into the darkness. Ryan didn't stop to watch. Move! A shocking revelation. The 4 survivors reached the far side of the crane, leaping onto the next rooftop. Panting, they turned back, watching the undead mass struggling to climb out of the collapsed rooftop. They had bought themselves time. But not much. Lena collapsed to her knees, shaking. We made it. Jake wiped blood from his face. For now. Ryan turned to Olivia, who stood stiff, staring at her left arm. Blood dripped from a deep bite wound. Ryan's stomach dropped. Olivia. She looked up, her eyes filled with something he had never seen in her before. Resignation. It got me, she said simply. Lena's hands flew to her mouth. Jake swore under his breath. Ryan clenched his fists. We can. No, Olivia interrupted. You know how this ends. Silence. Ryan's mind raced. There had to be a way. Maybe they could amputate the arm. Maybe she had more time than they thought. But Olivia wasn't fooling herself. She looked at each of them in turn, then handed Ryan her shotgun. You'll need this more than me. Ryan didn't want to take it. But he did. One final decision. The moans of the undead grew louder. The horde had spotted them again. Time was running out. Olivia gave a small, sad smile. Keep going. Find somewhere safe. Jake's jaw tightened. We're not leaving you. You have to. She took a step back toward the edge of the building. Ryan's eyes widened. Olivia. She smirked. I'll take as many of them with me as I can. Then, before anyone could stop her, she turned and ran. Straight back to the crane. She crossed halfway before she stopped and turned back toward them. Olivia raised her arms. Come get me, you ugly bastards. The zombies poured onto the crane after her. Ryan knew what she was doing. Jake took a step forward. No. Boom. Olivia shot the crane's support cables. With a horrifying screech of metal, the entire structure collapsed. The zombies screamed as they plummeted, their bodies smashing into the ruins below. Olivia went with them. Ryan watched, numb, as the dust settled. She was gone. The road ahead. No one spoke. Ryan turned away first. They couldn't stay here. Lena wiped her eyes. Where do we go now? Ryan slung Olivia's shotgun over his shoulder. Somewhere she'd want us to. Jake let out a shaky breath. Away from all this. They descended the fire escape, slipping into the shadows of the ruined city. Behind them, the church burned. Ahead of them, the world was still broken. Still full of monsters. But they were alive. And they weren't done fighting yet. The end.